okay. No, it's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Please stand and remain standing for the posting of the colors, the playing of the national anthem by the Gahanna-Lincoln High School Marching Band, and the invocation by Father Paul Noble of St. Matthew's the Apostle Church. Color guard, post! Father Paul Noble.
Let us pray. Almighty God, through the dedication of this monument, we remember in a special way those who gave their lives in service of our country and of our freedom. Their memory is near and dear to us, for they are family. May we honor their memory by recognizing and praising your goodness dwelling within every human being. Guide our search for lasting peace and bless our efforts with a success that will benefit all creation. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
You may be seated. Good morning. My name is Dennis Murphy. I'm the Chief of Police, a 1976 graduate of Gahanna-Lincoln High School, and an Army retiree. On the platform this morning with me, Father Paul Noble from St. Matthew's the Apostle Church, Pastor Steve Benninger from New Life Church, Superintendent of Schools Greg Morris, Major General James Williams, United States Army retired, Brigadier General Jeffrey Horn, United States Army, Mr. Joe Gottran from the Huntington National Bank, and Mr. Dale Four, Coordinator of Community Services for the Gahanna-Jefferson School District. With us in the audience, Mayor Becky Stinchcomb, Mayor of the City of Gahanna. We also have Senator George Voinovich's District Representative Keisha Phelan, Congressman Pat Tiberi, State Representative Larry Flowers, Assistant Secretary of State Monty Laub, and General Abraham. In addition to our elected officials, we also have Gahanna City Council, Mifflin and Jefferson Township trustees, Mifflin and Jefferson fire officials, and the Gahanna-Jefferson School Board. But most importantly, right up here in the front rows are the family members of the honor roll. And they will be representing those that are on the memorial today, representing Stephen Blossom, Neil Deal, Gus Johnson, Russell Luker, Paul McGlinchey, Nick Mesmer, and Robert Remley. To give you a background about this memorial, over the past 3 or 4 years, Gahanna-Lincoln High School has made preserving the school's past a primary focus. 2 Gahanna High School teachers, Phil Peters and Dave Woodruff, considered it important to have some type of a memorial to our veterans lost in combat. Tom Gregory, the television and speech teacher, brought the chance to apply for a national grant with him and involve getting students working on a service project for the community. The 3 teachers were awarded the grant and were trained in how to conceptualize a service learning project. In the summer of 2005, at a time that they were exploring the current needs of our community, Gahanna was faced with the recent loss of 2003 graduate Nick Mesmer from the United States Army while serving in Iraq, and the losses of locally based Marine unit Lima Company. The teachers wondered what the students could do to serve our local military community and veterans, and to help students connect with and preserve our local history. Thus was born the project To Serve and to Honor. The project was to serve our locally deployed troops and to honor our veterans by interviewing them and giving them a chance to tell their story. The memorial is just one portion of the entire project. Students have interviewed and videotaped veterans. They produced a 60-minute documentary that is still being aired on cable TV. Others have worked to send magazines and videotapes to deployed troops. Some went to the elementary school to explain what Memorial Day means and the effects of war on Gahanna. The memorial concept quickly grew from a plaque on the wall to a larger concept when 2 students met and created design specifications for this memorial. Mr. Dan Kaiser, the architecture teacher, introduced the current concept, and that has been developed by his students into the design we have today. A group of students worked on historical research of the Gahanna-Lincoln High School students who were lost in the line of duty. In order for this project to become a reality, another group of students, teachers, administrators, and community members worked on raising funds in order to create this granite memorial. Many have called on their contacts with businesses, community organizations, school organizations, churches, and community members to contribute to this project. Others have provided in-kind benefits for construction of the memorial. Much time and labor has been selflessly spent on the building of this edifice. Through the efforts of many, today we are gathered to dedicate this memorial to all Gahanna-Lincoln High School veterans, especially those who gave the greatest sacrifice of all in the line of duty. As a school and as a community, we will never forget their efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Joe Gottrin, Executive Vice President, Chief Information Officer for the Huntington National Bank. Mr. Gottrin was instrumental in the fundraising efforts for this memorial. Joe?
Thank you, Chief Murphy. On behalf of the To Serve and to Honor Project Steering Committee, I would like to offer a sincere and genuine thank you to all of those from the community that so generously contributed their time and/or financial resources to make this memorial and unique learning environment a reality. With an extra special thanks to those who worked many nights and weekends over the last 45 days to make sure we could hit our deadline of today. This diverse and talented team of contributors came together from every community sector: the civic community, the business community, the parent community, the alumnus community, and the friendship community. I believe that this memorial will serve as two powerful daily reminders for all of us and for countless others for years to come. First and foremost, it shall serve as a daily reminder of the awesome sacrifice made by the Gahanna Lincoln High School students who so proudly served or are currently serving our great nation, especially those that made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. As we all know, freedom is priceless, but freedom is not free. The second powerful daily reminder, which is even more valuable to our students, tomorrow's leaders, is that anything is possible when committed, dedicated, and driven people come together to rally behind a vision and a mission to do something really great. The diversity and brain power and talent that came together, the students, the teachers, the school district administration, and the community, to make this memorial a reality was nothing short of spectacular. And what's most impressive and noteworthy is that it all started with a few students who took the initiative to do something really great, to honor those who serve. On behalf of the community, thank you, Gahanna Lincoln High School, for allowing us, the community, to play a role in something so unique, so powerful, so awesome, and so fitting. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Major General James Williams, United States Army retired, and currently the City of Gahanna Emergency Management Coordinator. General.
While it's unusual for a Major General to introduce a Brigadier General, it's my great pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Brigadier General Jeff Horn is a fine example of a Gahanna Lincoln graduate. From the class of 1976, he went on to the Ohio State University and graduated from there with his bachelor's degree and, most importantly, a commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. He began his career by jumping out of airplanes with the 82nd Airborne. I didn't advise him on that. And he served in unit assignments in Europe and in the Pacific. He has commanded at the unit and the battalion level and held very responsible positions in missile development. He has had prestigious military education accomplishments and was selected for promotion to Brigadier General in September of 2005. After serving as Deputy Commander for Operations Northern Defense Command, Jeff was assigned to the multinational force in Iraq as Effects Coordinator. He serves there today. Jeff and his wife Terry have 3 children, one of whom has served in the United States Air Force. His youngest is a hockey player. They try to make their home in Virginia, but Jeff is on the move quite a bit in his career. I've known Jeff for 33 years and have closely observed his service path. He's the same Jeff Horn that spent many hours in my home being exposed to the fundamentals of military and sharpening his social skills. He is a credit to Gahanna Lincoln, our community, his family, and the United States Army. Please join me in welcoming one of Gahanna's best, Brigadier General Jeff Horn.
Well, good morning. I'm looking out across this crowd, and this is something that I never foresaw as I was graduating from Gahanna. And I'd just like to say thank you to the mayor and the senator and congressman, and looking out across my fellow soldiers. I'll be the first to admit that I'm standing here with no beret in my head. That's thanks to the wonders of military travel. I guess I was lucky to get with it here with as much uniform as I've got on right now. So I want to say that I owe all of you 100 push-ups, and you report at the podium when we get done here. We'll go knock them out. Okay? Well, first of all, General Williams, Jim, thanks for that kind introduction, and probably more importantly for the 33 years of mentorship and friendship that you've given me. I look out across the crowd, and the first thing that I see is the families of these great soldiers that represent many generations of American service. And I stand in awe, and I thank you for being here to honor us with your presence and all that your families stand for. Then I look across to my own family, and this is the first time, I think, in my 26 years of service that I've actually had them all assembled in one place, and me standing up trying to say something somewhat intelligent. So when they start snickering, just realize that that's what's going on. Mr. Murphy, Mr. Groton, Mr. Morris, all the distinguished guests here, thank you very, very much. As I mentioned, I've served this country for some time now, coming up on 30 years in uniform, 26 years of commissioned service. During that time, I've spoken to many groups, but I've never done anything quite as great an honor as what this is, to stand up in front of your hometown and to talk about the accomplishments of soldiers over many generations is an honor that no soldier can ever experience enough times. And so to come home now is just an honor of the greatest magnitude. 30 years ago, I never would have envisioned this. I think Mr. Ford, Mr. Kessler, Mr. Singer, and all of the others that were faculty at the time were certainly amazed at my early success in the military. I wasn't exactly the beacon of hope for those that imposed rules. Like many teenagers, I had a tendency to question things, press the envelope, drive too fast, burn my tires off in my mighty fine blue Mustang Fastback with Krager mags out in front of General Williams' home. I'd drive through the front yard of the football coach's house because it seemed like a good thing to do at the time. So I was generally a pain to those in authority, but I guess the long story short is we had fun with it. At least I did. And my mentors were very, very patient. They were tolerant but firm. They taught me what the line was. And I guess that's what makes great soldiers and great leaders and great parents, is a dose of rebellion tempered with patience and a dabble of faith mixed together with a community of great strength. And that's how I see Gahanna. You look across this area right now and you look back across this memorial, and as I understand it, there's no one in America that has a memorial of the size and magnitude as what you have before you for a town of this size. So I guess that's what makes our country great, is common people with diverse backgrounds bound together with common interests, focused on a common set of values. This is America. This is what we fight for. This is what honor is all about. And this is what makes our country the finest in the world. I can tell you, as I flew into Atlanta night before last, I will never forget it. I've flown back from the Middle East now 3 times in the last year. And every time, as I land, I look out and I realize how very, very much we have. You look out and you see the cars on the freeway bustling along, the green grass, the trees, the lack of trash everywhere. I could go on and on. For those of you that have never left this country, you truly have no idea how great we have it. I encourage you to everything that you can do to get out there and see, because America truly is the finest country in the world. We're here today to commend this great memorial, as well as the students that had the faith and tenacity to conceive it, the leaders that encouraged it, a city that had the vision to support it. This memorial is a tribute to America's greatest treasure, America's sons and daughters, and the values that they hold so very dear. It is also a reminder of what we stand for as a people. We are here to remember the men and women that gave their lives and limbs, preserving our way of life, not just for the ones who will be remembered forever in this memorial, but for all who have enjoyed the toil and trouble of being a soldier, a sailor, an airman, or a Marine. They serve for many reasons, but their service always tallies to the same ends. Their sweat and their blood, either at home or abroad, ensures our right as Americans to be treated equally and fairly, regardless of religion, race, or political beliefs. To live our lives free of oppression, to worship the way we please, to speak freely, and enjoy the pursuit of happiness wherever we so choose it. Today we honor the selfless service of 16 of our sons and daughters as we dedicate the To Serve and to Honor Memorial, a day of remembrance for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for liberty, freedom, and a democratic way of life while serving our armed forces. These young men are a part of an unending line of proud citizens who answered our nation's call. It has been said that for a nation to be successful, the nation must be willing to serve. For over 230 years, our armed forces have defended our way of life and defended a system of values central to all that we believe in as Americans. Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage are what drives everything that we do as Americans. Let me call to mind just a few of these men that have represented all that you hold so very dear. Men like Sergeant Charles R. Evans, class of 1944, who while serving as a radio gunner on a B-17 Flying Fortress, returning from a mission over Mulhouse, France, was engaged by an enemy aircraft fire and perished into the North Sea on the 3rd of August, 1944. And then there's Gus Johnson, who went to school with several members of my family, and last night as we talked over dinner, we talked about Gus and how they all remembered him. And Effie, God bless you and thank you for all that you do and your family has done for us. Gus was a member of the storied 3187 Rakkasan 101st Airborne Division, a great unit. In 2005, we lost PFC Nicholas Edward Messmer, a member of the class of 2003. PFC Messmer was on assignment with the 1st Battalion 506th Infantry Regiment last year when he sustained mortal wounds from an explosion that struck his vehicle while on patrol in Samarra, Iraq. I'd like to take just a moment to recognize the families that are here. First of all, the family of Private Paul McGlinchey, his son Bill and his family are here. Would you stand up, please? Please remain standing as it's cold and you probably need to move around anyway. Mariner Robert Remley and his brother Ronald Remley and his family, the class of 1942. Lieutenant Neil Deal, class of 1940, his niece Sally Weber and family. As I call your names, if you'd please stand. Staff Sergeant Russell Luker, class of 1951, his wife Suzanne Luker and son Randy. Sergeant Stephen Blossom, class of 1961, his mother Marion Blossom and sister Janice and family. Sergeant Gus Johnson, class of 1965, his sister Effie and family. And finally, Specialist Nick Messmer, class of 2003, his parents Rick and Shirley, and brothers Ricky, Joey, Dustin, and Zach. There's nothing that we can say that will ease the loss of those that we have lost. But our heart goes out to you, and we are honored by your presence. And your families will always be remembered. And God bless. Please stand. In closing, I'd like to leave you with words from a prayer that was delivered to our soldiers in Baghdad on the 19th of February of this year. Lord of hosts, we are grateful for your watchful care over us this day, and for your protection of all of our men and women, in particular for the favor and blessings upon our families and loved ones. We are bold to ask that you will favor our undertakings in the struggle for freedom, and that all those who are working for the betterment of his fellow man will find ample strength, wisdom, fortitude, and enlightenment to stay the course for victory. God bless the nations that love freedom and have sacrificed to gain it. And maybe we, and more so our prosperity, reap the harvest of the blessing upon all peoples who seek justice and mercy and righteousness and peace. Thank you everyone for your attention as we've talked today and recognize the selfless service for the tremendous sacrifices of those who've gone before us. May God bless those of all of you that have served and those of you that have been lost, that their families may support them and understand their commitment to something higher than self-interest and personal gain. May God bless those that carry the torch in the years ahead in the defense of this great country. Thank you very, very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dale Ford.
So you're the one who drove through the yards, huh? Who knew? I can now complete my list after 35 years. And in my 35 years, I've never seen anything that's galvanized a community like this project. Jeff, please join me here. The sign says "Welcome Home." Jeff told me last night in the last 25 years he's had 21 homes. He's lived in 21 different places. Please know that Gahanna is always your home. Thank you for your inspirational comments. You're a great credit to Lincoln High School, the community of Gahanna, and our wonderful nation. Hopefully this plaque will be a reminder of a great day for all of us.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank God in 1976 I didn't cause any problems.
Do I hear the chief of police?
At this time, I would like to introduce the students to read the honor roll. The students are Anna Adair, Michael West, Josh Sargent, and Jesse Gottran.
Charles R. Evans, Sergeant, United States Air Corps, World War II, 1924 to August 3rd, 1944. Class of 1944. Aaron E. Hall, Private, United States Army, World War II, May 29th, 1925 till October 26th, 1944. Class of 1943. John L. Mauger, Private, United States Army, World War II, 1913 to July 9th, 1944, Class of 1932. William H. McCann, Private, United States Army Air Corps, World War II, 1923 to January 17th, 1945.
Paul C. McGlinchey, Private, United States Army, World War II, May 1st, 1916 to November 11th, 1944, Class of 1933. Kermit H. Newland, Private, United States Army, World War II, 1916 to December 13th, 1944, Class of 1933. Robert W. Phillips, Second Lieutenant, United States Army, World War II, 1917 to November 26, 1944. Attended 1932 to 1934. John H. Zeck, Second Lieutenant, United States Army, Air Corps, World War II, March 14, 1917 to January 6, 1944. Class of 1935.
Robert E. Rimley, United States Merchant Marine, post-World War II, December 1st, 1923 to September 4th, 1946, class of 1942. Neil H. Steele, Second Lieutenant, United States Air Force, Cold War, July 27th, 1922 to March 10th, 1950, class of 1940. Benjamin F. Dunkel, Private, United States Army, Korean War, December 24th, 1929 to September 6, 1951, class of 1947. Stephen C. Blossom, Sergeant, United States Army, Vietnam War, August 14th, 1943 to August 5th, 1968, class of 1961.
Gus W. Johnson, Jr., Sergeant, United States Army, Vietnam War, July 1st, 1947 to September 6, 1968, class of 1965. Russell B. Luker, Staff Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam War, February 17, 1933 to February 1st, 1966, class of 1951. Michael D. Turner, Lance Corporal, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam War, July 31st, 1950 through November 28, 1968. Attended 1966 and 67. Nicholas E. Messmer, Specialist, United States Army, War on Terror, July 24th, 1984 through May 8th, 2005, class of 2003.
At this time, we're going to have a ribbon cutting. I can have those participating. Those that are involved in the ribbon cutting today: Superintendent of Schools Greg Morris, School Board President Ted Carr, General Horn, VFW leaders Robert Stallings and Wilmer Goldsberry, architecture students Sean Kirk and Alex Bain, who will be carrying the wreath, which will be laid at the memorial by Corporal Roy Hanna, Gahanna Lincoln High School class of 2003, and who just returned from Iraq March of this year. Cutting the ribbon is the commander of the VFW post, Bob Stallings. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Greg Morris, the school superintendent.
On behalf of our Board of Education, present with us today, President Ted Carr, members Marlene Ader, Wendy McKenna, and Claire Yoder, and First Lieutenant Jeff Carson, who's currently serving our country in Iraq in the 73rd Infantry Brigade. I'd like to thank our distinguished guests, our students, our staff, and the Gahanna-Jefferson community for not only your presence here today at this dedication, but also for your support in the pursuit of a dream that has now become a reality. We're deeply honored that our own 1976 Lincoln High School graduate, and as you listen today, you may wonder how that happened, but we're deeply honored to have Brigadier General Jeffrey Horn with us today. He's journeyed so far to be with us, and we appreciate that so much for both his words and his presence with us. I'm particularly proud of this project in that it was our students who planted the first seed. Through the committed efforts of Phil Peters, Tom Gregory, and Dan Kaiser, Community Services Coordinator Dale Four, and over 100 students, connections built among students, our schools, civic organizations, and the community have generated an astounding momentum, culminating in honoring these 16 Gahanna-Lincoln High School students and graduates who gave their lives in the pursuit of freedom. This memorial will reach beyond our city as our Lincoln High School band, wearing ribbons representing service members, marches in the New York City Veterans Day Parade next Saturday, November the 11th. I know that as you read the personal stories of these 16 men, you will feel the connection. They were students, friends, brothers, sons, and husbands, not unlike you and me, very much a part of our community. We shall count on this memorial to be a testament not only to those who served us so well in the advancement of freedom, but also as a reminder that a small-scale idea can grow in momentous ways when people come together in support of a common goal. We thank the numerous companies and individuals who donated their time, materials, and talents for this memorial. We also appreciate the support of so many civic organizations who helped our students in the necessary research to help this become a reality. And certainly we recognize our community's willingness to fund such a venture. I'm humbled by this memorial in so many ways, by what it stands for and by how it became to be. Perhaps President Abraham Lincoln's words from the Gettysburg Address, inscribed on one of the interior columns of the memorial, can reflect our gratitude to the Gahanna-Lincoln High School 16. The world, it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. May this to honor and serve memorial truly inspire us to continue the advancement of freedom. At this time, I'd like to ask our Congressman, Pat Tiberi, if he would come forward. He has a special presentation for the district.
This is a flag flown over the U.S. Capitol to be flown for this memorial.
Thank Thank you, Congressman T. Berry, and thank you, and may God bless each of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Mr. Rick Mesmer. Rick is the father of Nick Mesmer, who was killed on Mother's Day, May 8th of 2005. He will represent all 16 families at this time.
Morning, everyone. I'm honored as a parent of Specialist Nick Mesmer, one of our fallen heroes, to represent the 15 other families of Gahanna Lincoln students who have died serving their country. None of us would have ever imagined the losses they have suffered. However, it gives us great comfort knowing our sons are embraced in strong arms by those who have died before them, and that their memory and sacrifices will never fade, and for generations to come, they will be memorialized by this powerful and fitting tribute made possible by the faculty, teachers, and students of Gahanna Lincoln. God bless our students, our military, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Mike Norman is a former Marine grunt who wrote a wonderful book called These Good Men, about his quest to find and reunite with all the survivors of his platoon in Vietnam. He thought long and deep about why we gather as we do, and he explained it thusly, and I quote, "I now know why men who have been to war yearn to reunite, not to tell stories or look at old pictures, not to laugh, not to weep. Comrades gather because they long to be with the men who once acted their very best. Men who suffered and sacrificed, who were stripped raw right down to their humanity. I did not pick these men. They were delivered by fate and the military, but I know them in a way that I know no other men. I have never given anyone such trust. They were willing to guard something more precious than my life. They would have carried my reputation, the memory of me. It was part of the bargain we all made, the reason we were so willing to die for one another. As long as I have memory, I will think of them all, every day. I am sure that when I leave this world, my last thought will be of my family and my comrades, such good men." This memorial that we dedicate today will keep the memory of those brave men alive for generations, and I applaud all who were involved in making this happen. An invitation will be extended to the family members of the men of the honor roll to enter the memorial first, after the playing of taps. The audience is requested to remain seated until the band begins to play. At that time, you are all invited to the memorial, and there is a reception in the auditorium lobby to your right rear. At this time, I would like to introduce Pastor Steve Benninger, pastor of the New Life Church in Gahanna.
Please bow with me for a moment of prayer. Take a moment, if you will, and just reflect upon the lives of these who made the ultimate sacrifice, whose names were read just moments ago. Our Father in heaven, in the midst of our busy lives, it's easy to forget those things that matter most. Or too rare that we pause and reflect on men and women like these, heroes. Lord, today we celebrate their lives. We remember their courage and their bravery and their endurance and their sacrifice. Lord, I thank you for those who conceived of this idea of creating a sacred space here. For those who followed through and constructed it. Lord, I pray that you would remind us every time we drive by on Hamilton Road, every time we set foot on this campus, on this property, that we would pause and reflect that freedom is not free. And we would be grateful to you for the freedoms that we enjoy. Lord, thank you for this holy moment, this sacred moment right now where we gather as a community to remember these. Thank you for heroes. Lord, I pray these things in the name of your Son, who also made the ultimate sacrifice for us, that we might enjoy freedom. It's in his name that I pray.
At this time, if the family members would enter the memorial, you'll be moving to your right.
I'm joining. You know you have to. Come over.
Where's that?
Mr. Shellhammer?
Well, if you can imagine coming home after 30 years of serving all over the world to be asked to speak in front of a memorial, it's truly a great honor. And words probably don't properly articulate that, but it is probably one of the greatest honors of my life. It's great to see old family and friends and my teachers, and so it's been a lot of great fun. But more importantly, it's an honor to see what this town has done and how they're setting the stage for all of you guys as you grow up and take the reins of authority over from some of us old guys. It's an incredible thing serving with America's sons and daughters today. You go out and you see the folks, and they are so incredibly well motivated, and the morale's always up. Doesn't matter what happens, they just keep trudging on. And when it's 142 degrees and they're loaded down with all their armor and everything else, it's always great to see them smiling bright, and it's an honor to serve with them. So that's probably the most important thing that I see as I go into Iraq.
This time, feel free to enter the memorial. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.